Here is my story of when a guru tried to get me into his cult. So never in a million years would I expect myself to have been someone at risk of being in a cult, because I'm an extremely critical thinker, very intuitive. I can read people super, super well. I can read energy super, super well. I am overeducated. But I'll tell you, cults will go after people strategically, not ones that they think are weak, ones that they think can add value. So if you're extremely smart, if you are overeducated, if you have all these different characteristics, then you add capital for them. They want you. The level that they got me on was I was going through a very, very hard time in my life. I had just lost my mother. I had gone through a really difficult time with the rest of my family. So I was essentially on my own. And because of that, that was my vulnerability that they exploited. Because that is at the base of the hierarchy of needs, socially, emotionally, mentally, for a human being. We need to belong. I had this wonderful therapist tell me once, she's like, people do a lot of really, really intense, insane things just to fit in and belong. It's at the very, very core of our being, of our needs. It's sometimes more important than food. So the experience that I got from them was very welcoming, very loving, pulling me into their little family. And so essentially in the grooming process, I feel what happened was the guru, and this was a Kundalini yoga group. It was like a subgroup. And this guru is very famous in the circle because he had been taught directly by Yogi Bhajan. He really just latched on to me because he was like talking to me more than other people. He really gave me special treatment. He would come and sit next to me and eat with me. And I don't know if this was strategic, but he was really trying to build rapport with me on an unconscious level because I could see he was mirroring my movements. I couldn't tell if that was strategic or if that was actually how he was just conducting himself unconsciously and naturally. Regardless, when a central figure like this, who is heralded in his community and everybody around you respects him, it feels really, really intoxicating, I would say. Maybe not to that extreme, but very affirming when someone like that pays special attention to you because they like you. They see something special in you, and it kind of makes you want to give them more. It makes you want to make them happy. It pulled on some strings for me, for sure. In classes, I would notice he would call on my hand a lot. He really valued my input, valued what I had to say. And for me, that's really important. If somebody can say that you add value and they're showing you, then of course you want to add more value. So when it comes to spiritual abuse, sometimes that can happen on more energetic levels, and it can be something that is a precursor to more physical abuse, because what we're sensing in spiritual communities is energy, and of course energy predicates physical reality, right? We feel the energy first before things start to get into motion. That's the whole basis of manifestation, like in terms of physics. So really, without my consent, what I felt him doing was entering my energy field. I could feel him just in my literal body, energetically. And I would call that a really, really, it was non-consensual. And I know this is not a familiar term for everybody, but it was a type of spiritual, or I'm not going to say the full word, but it felt very violating. It felt like an out-of-body experience. And upon leaving, when I knew that something was really, really wrong, and I would feel so much like sexual energy that he was just like channeling to me, through me, at me. It was really, 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 really intense an experience. And of course, none of this is happening. He's not like trying to get me to go to his hotel room or anything. So it's like, it makes you feel like something's wrong with you because you're feeling all of this, but there's no physical, tangible evidence of it. But upon leaving, because I knew something was wrong, upon leaving and doing a lot of research and talking to people in spiritual communities, it is a thing, a bad guru thing, where people do experience psychotic breaks from being abused spiritually and energetically by bad gurus. And it's quite common, actually. Somebody else told me she called it a case of the demons, because her friend had one of those psychotic events from having a bad experience with a guru. Luckily, I didn't get to the point of having a psychotic break, but I will say it was very, very scary an experience and very, very alienating because you could not really talk about this with many people, and so few people really understood the core and the crux of what you just went through. So I'm making this because there are many other ways that people can get power over you, especially in a guru situation where they can assert their control over you energetically, spiritually. That isn't really talked about, but you can be violated just the same. And since then, I have completely distrusted anyone who calls themselves guru, because in terms of spirituality, there is no authority other than your own spiritual authority. That's what I deeply believe, is that we're here, we're connected to our higher selves. We have teams dedicated to helping us spiritually, and also we are under a universal spiritual power, right? So it's not so much like there's a guru who can tell me what is spiritually correct or not, because you're listening to your own guidance. Part of the spiritual path is listening to your own intuition, your own guidance, and connecting to your own spirituality. I think it's a personal journey, which then becomes very universal. I've also found that new souls on earth tend to believe themselves to be authority, or they are drawn to more like authority. I'm a guru, when really that guru is probably on his first life, because new souls believe in hierarchies because of fear, and meanwhile older souls know that there is no such thing as a hierarchy in terms of just based on soul power, and human is a human. So we're not so much drawn to that kind of experience of being authority or calling ourselves authority, because that's ego. We've already mastered so much of cleansing and purifying and distilling and getting rid of ego, so we're not drawn to that anymore. So my advice to people who are starting out on their spiritual path: do not trust anyone who calls themselves a guru or says they're spiritual authority or that they're a spiritual director. You may need advice from like good intentioned healers and people who have more experience and knowledge than you, but ultimately no one can be authority over you. And if you do allow someone to become authority over you, they have a high likelihood of taking advantage of that, exploiting that. Even if you think that you're a person who's so far away from ever being inducted into a cult or anything like that, they will get you on a vulnerability, and all human beings have vulnerabilities.